Hi there, Mick back, and it's time for my Australian albums year in review. So let's get it underway. First up, we have Voice Imitator. Voice Imitator, a Melbourne band on the American label 12XU, undoubtedly named after the Wire song. This is in post-industrial, post-punk, and certainly reflects the grimier side of Melbourne. Definitely worth checking out if you like the Amphetamine Reptile label. And this one's at number 10. Next up, we have The Church, who are Australian rock stalwarts coming to prominence in the early 80s with a song called Unguarded Moment. They then advanced through to being Paisley underground kings and certainly have kept the psychedelics in mind, as you can see by this cover. This is a double album, and from those who remember the classic lineup, the only person still remaining is Steve Kilbey. But certainly an amazing trip, and The Church are one of those bands who really have performed consistently over the last 40 odd years. Fantastic. Next up, we have Anna Butters. Anna Butters is from Adelaide, and she moved to LA, and she's part of the new jazz scene. And as you can see by this obi here, that it's on the International Anthem label, and in this case it does feature Jeff Parker, who is a key part of the I guess the new jazz underground with his guitar playing. This is bass driven and certainly has a psychedelic jazz feel. Certainly something that's in the jazz sphere, but not in the traditional jazz sphere. Up next, we have Split System. This is on the Legless label, and Split System play a brand of wire-influenced garage punk. This is on the Legless label, and it's certainly a key powerhouse if you like your Australian garage rock. Next up, we have The Orb. The Orb have been around for a while, and when I remember their first couple of albums, they were definitely influenced a lot more with Black Sabbath. The Sabbath influence still remains, but on this, it's like they bought a copy of Sgt. Pepper's and things have got psychedelic. But it's not quite that simple. It also looks like they've been overdosing on the Acid Archives book, and so you've got the blend of psychedelia and Acid Archives, poor Black Sabbath imitators. Anyway, it makes for an intriguing blend, and that one's on the Flightless label. Next up, we have Banana Gun. Banana Gun are somewhere between Mahogany Brain and Tropicala. Mahogany Brain were this avant-garde French band from the early 70s who played free form folk, but with a Velvet Underground influence. These guys have a similar sort of feel, but it's definitely got the spirit of Tropicala. Very interesting music. Once again, psychedelia features, and this one is on the Fade label, the always great Fade label. Second album on International Anthem, and this one features Ariel Kalma, and Ariel is French born but now lives in Australia. This is fourth world ambient type music, and certainly I guess it's making a positive change to how that sort of music is perceived on a worldwide basis. Ariel Kelmer recorded this, or part of this, in Mullumbimby, which is in northern New South Wales, and it's probably one of the hippie capitals of Australia. So good to see some Australian bands on artists on International Anthem. Okay, we're getting towards the end here. Here he is, the Dark One, the Prince, the Lord Highness of Australian underground rock, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. So great to have Nick back and all his gospel singing glory. It's a long way from Wangaratta to living in Brighton and writing songs like Song of the Lake. Nick continues to outshine a lot of Australian artists, and this album will feature on lists all over the world, and deservedly so. My favourite Australian artist of all time. Okay, top two now. And next up is The Necks. So The Necks are an Australian avant jazz band, but there's a lot of post-rock in them. This one's on Northern Spy, and it's called Bleed. Chris Abrahams, Tony Buck and Lloyd Swanton are still the members of the band. This was recorded at Studio 301, which is one of Australia's premier recording studios. And I must say, for this one, it's actually worth getting it as a CD, because on the record you get two 20-minute pieces, but it certainly flows together a little bit better on the CD, which is a lot like their live shows. There we have it, The Necks, Bleed. Okay, for number one, the number one album, or number one Australian album, is Love Changes Everything for Me by the Dirty Three. The band this year got back together after a long break, and certainly this band features Warren Ellis, Mick Turner, and Jim White on drums. I'm just going to focus on Jim White a bit because he's had a fantastic year. So he's played in the Hard Quartet with Steve Malkmus. The Hard Quartet are touring Australia later this year. And additionally, he plays on this album by The Beings with Steve Gunn and provides his propulsive drummer. Definitely Australia's number one drummer for mine, and has been for quite a while. The Dirty Three comes in some fantastic packaging with the gold foiling on the cover, and there we go, you get to see the band in the centre. Okay, hope you've enjoyed my top 10 Australian albums. I'll catch up over the next couple of weeks to talk through a heap of other releases that I've enjoyed throughout the year. Okay, see everyone soon.